I spent a lot of time thinking about DEI, how DEI can improve our newsroom, how different corporations are realizing that diversity of workforce is a benefit. But you did mention to me when we talked how DEI perhaps is not thought about enough in terms of this peer effect. And so would you share a little bit about what you mean when you say introducing the concept of more diversity can mitigate some of this the peer effect that you're talking about?
Yeah, so when we talk about diversity in the workplace, it seems like it's mostly we're talking about diversity trainings, right? These like 1 or 2 hour like trainings here and there. And the research is really clear that these don't work at all. Like if your goal is to have a more diverse workforce, diversity in management, just better behavior overall, you're not going to get that through the trainings. Frank Dalbin, who's a researcher at Harvard, and his colleague Alexandra Kalev, they've done a lot of research on this. And what they found is that the things that really do work are affirmative action programs and like diversity committees and diversity positions and like just like really making an effort to recruit from diverse pools. So instead of just going to Harvard and Yale, you go to Howard and Fisk and places like that. And what they found was that when you increase these positions, these diversity positions in affirmative action, you're more likely to obviously make the hires, but also retain the hires and promote minority people into management. And it seems that the mechanism here is that as you're changing personnel, like it's one thing to change, like hire 1 or 2 people, but if you're hiring them into a firm of 100, that's not going to make an impact on personnel. It's not going to make an impact on culture. But if you hire, say, 12 people, then that's a big personnel change, and that could, in theory, lead to a cultural shift, right? So like, while, even if management does nothing beyond hiring, right, the culture within the firm at the lower levels will possibly change. Doesn't necessarily have to change, but it could very well change because of the shift in personnel.
Okay, and then that disrupts this. Sometimes I think about it as an echo chamber or a peer effect. Because there's more diverse professionals challenging the status quo, or like why does that? Like if I take the idea of bringing in more professionals of diverse backgrounds, whatever that diversity looks like, to a corporation that is potentially mostly homogenous, all looks the same. How can you just speak a little bit to how exactly that, taking your model of the peer effect disrupts that?
Well, for instance, if you have a workplace that's largely male, right, you're going to have a very bro culture, and that's very common in banking, finance, and other places. And if you introduce like larger numbers of women, like a small number of women are just going to get harassed, but you're going to reach at some point a tipping point where it won't be okay anymore to make the kind of sexist comments or comments about cleavage or whatever. And so not necessarily, obviously, but it could, right? And it's if enough women are there, they might say something. They might put their foot down and be like, "This is not okay." Yeah. Right. And if you have more blacks and Latinos and other minorities coming in, maybe that mitigates the kind of racist comments and attitudes and stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to, but it could very well. At the very least, a lot of these things that were overt may become covert and may make the workplace a little bit more bearable for people.